when I started making money like almost immediately. I can tell you it is purely passion. We started doing over $80,000 on Google AdSense. I think I used innovation to hold the ground down. I just started anyhow I was able to start then. My name is Makinde Azeez. I'm a blogger, a music executive, and a media entrepreneur. So like all-rounder. But I'm basically a blogger and the brain behind the popular music and entertainment website Naijaloaded.com. That is who I am.
What motivated you to get started with Naijaloded?
Actually, the main brain behind Naijaloded from the onset was just to use the internet to disseminate information even more faster, to disseminate content, news, write articles on different topics and all of that. So basically it's just to disseminate information to Nigerians on the internet on a very fast scale. And Naijaloaded was bet even before social media and all these platforms got to the limelight. So we are like the Facebook of Nigeria. We are like the go-to place for Nigerians when the internet was still very much new. So the concept about Naijaloaded is to have a platform where Nigerians can get information, listening to their favorite music, watch interesting videos and all of that. So I just want to put what Nigerians are looking forward to consume on the internet, and that was what led to the idea behind it.
What year did you start Naijaloaded?
After my secondary school days, I finished secondary school in 2007. I was home, still trying to gain admission and all of that. So in the course of sitting at home, I enrolled in a computer school to get some IT knowledge. Along the line, I also went for web designing classes, and while sitting at home, I saw the struggle, I understand the concept. I just started anyhow I was able to start then. Then luckily I gained admission into university, and because of how stressful it was combining school with Naijaloded, I almost dropped it so I can focus more on my studies. But this has been my baby from the very beginning of my life. I just felt, let me just keep it handy and keep it growing. And fortunately for me, I did not let it sway away while I was battling with school. That was in 2009. So it was 2 years after I finished secondary school. I started Naijaloded, but it was not bearing Naijaloded when I started it. So Naijaloded is like a all-rounder kind of platform that gives Nigerians whatever they want, and the rest is history.
So was Naijaloded about passion or about making money?
So if it was about making money, I think I would have opted out a long time ago, because when I started, because of the niche I got into initially, I started making money like almost immediately. Like I think it was not even up to 1 month. I hit the ground running almost immediately, but the income was not as huge compared to how it was 3, 4, 5 years later. Naijaloded has been able to stand the test of time because it is being run with passion. And it was later that the earnings started catching up with the workload. I can tell you it is purely passion.
It is more than like 16 years now.
Yeah.
What was it like building Naijaloded?
Like I said, I told you I started after I left secondary school, and I was still looking for admission. So gaining admission, I understand that blogging requires 100% commitment, except you want to be a part-time blogger. I think I used innovation to hold the ground down when I was in school, because there is a lot of things that happen that I know those are what actually put Naijaloded in the heart of a lot of Nigerians. So because I was dealing with a lot of titans, a lot of sharks in that river as at then, I understand how to write a content that Nigerians would rather want to read my own than read it elsewhere. I understand how terrible Nigerian network was back then, that I had to know how to compress my own content so that it's going to have smaller size compared to our competitors. Back then in school, I don't have funds to advertise Naijaloded. So I had to just use all of those information at my disposal to battle our competitor then, and it worked like magic for me, because immediately after my school days, I came back to Lagos, set up a proper office, got some good hands, and boom, Naijaloded went to the next level. Even though I know I'm supposed to start doing all these things from the onset, but because I don't have all the resources that are then, so I just had to make do with what I have at that particular time, and then growing it later on, we got to our own building, the Naijaloded building, a standalone office for ourselves, and then we got more hands so that we can be together and do more. And I think that increases the gap between Naijaloaded and every other blog. Why they were just running it like a normal hustle, we were taking it as a proper business, and the numbers are there to show for themselves.
Talking about innovations and strategies, what were some strategies and innovations that you explored back then that makes Naijaloaded to grow so well?
If you are to list out 3 requirements for 3 tools for my business, internet is going to be part of it. In fact, after my laptop, having a good internet is like the second thing. But then there was no good internet. So if me, as the owner of the platform, can struggle with internet, then what about the consumers? A consumer is just somebody that just wants to read something on your blog or just wants to listen to music on your platform. So whenever I have a content to put out on the platform, I want them to consume it, I have to compress it to the barest minimum so that on their own end, they can even use the poorest of the poor internet to access that files. And this is what most of our competitors are not paying attention to. So speed was what actually brought a lot of people down to Naijaloaded. There was a day, let me tell you, I was driving down to school. I have exam. I left the house 8 o'clock. Olamide has been anticipating his new release on the internet. I was driving to school. I got to the beginning and Olamide just dropped the song and I did not bother. I went to school, finished everything in school. I went back home. I got home. I uploaded the song on my platform. And in less than 10 minutes, we were just checking the start and it was just boom, 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 boom. Like people were actually waiting. So they went to all of our competitors' platforms to listen to that song. But the song was playing instead of downloading. So I understand that. I spoke to our developer, and what they did was just do a normal header configuration for us that whenever any MP3 file is clicked upon, it should download instead of streaming. And we did that, and Naijaloaded became the only music website that was downloading while others were playing. And before they could figure it out, all of the audience moved down to Naijaloaded. So the thing is that when you are into any business, you have to be fast. You have to put your ear to the ground so that you can know what is in vogue and what is going on in that particular industry, so that you can quickly make some implementations, and before your competitors wake up, you're already gone. If you're able to innovate, I don't care who is ahead of me, just take a little time for you to catch up with them.
At what point did you realize that Naijaloaded has turned into a proper business?
When I got into school and I saw that the traffic has increased so greatly, and when the traffic started running into millions of page views every month, and as at then we used to have like 20 million people using Naijaloaded according to our Google Analytics and our Alexa ranking. As at then, Alexa was already putting Naijaloaded between the top 20 websites in Nigeria, and at some point we grew up to number 4. So after you remove Google, you remove YouTube and Naijaloaded was coming next. As at that point, that was when I got to know that this is a business. And then all these brands, they follow Alexa ranking to know the platform they need to work with, because like before they can determine the platform they want to work with, they have to go to this Alexa ranking list. They see the top website based on traffic, and that was when a whole lot of people started reaching out. There was a day I was in my room trying to prepare for school, and then I opened my laptop and I got a mail from Pepsi that they want to use every available option on the platform, and I calculated and I was seeing like 20 million, and I was like, wow. Did the invoice and I sent and they paid, and I was like, wow, this is business. But then I could not set up a structure because I was still in school. But I understand that the numbers are becoming huge and I need to do things more differently. And then that was when I brought in some hands. I brought in 2 content creators while we were still in school. I got some guys in Lagos helping to do the runnings around, and we're getting a whole lot of advert. And then our traffic continued growing. I think sometimes in 2011, started doing over $80,000 on Google AdSense month in, month out, like every month. We're not going below $50,000. We're doing 60, 80, 90, 60, 70, 80, 90 for like 2 years straight. And that was when I got to know that this is a business and it can never be run like out of passion again. This is a proper business, and I gave it my all, like my all. Whenever I get into the exam hall and I look at the question and the question is becoming too serious, like and I look at my friend and they're not giving sign like they know it, and we look forward and we're not seeing any of our friends that carry the expo, like no help is forthcoming, I'll just write my name, mark, and I will submit and I'm going home. So I can't pass the course. I don't have to lose the money. It's a lie. I cannot lose 2 things at the same time. Either I get the mark and lose the money, or I lose the mark and get the money. I will take one. So that was when I decided that this thing is no longer passion. This is business.
So let's talk about numbers. From the traffic and then the revenue. What was your highest traffic in a month, and what was the highest revenue you ever made?
In all sincerity, I don't think I have ever sat down to say this is how much I made in a month. I won't lie. I'm more of a content person than a business person. So sometimes I don't know if I'm making profit or I'm losing. But what I just know is when I was running Google AdSense, I have done $250,000 a month, and sometimes from direct advert I have done 50 million from one single person. And sometimes we promote music too, we upload songs. Sometimes off day we can do a lot of songs, but I have never sat down and say this month though I did 5 billion.
What are the challenges that you face running Naijaloaded?
When I started Naijaloded, I was trying to buy a domain name, and then they were selling domain for, I think I bought Naijaloded.com for 5,000 naira. I paid the hosting company and they did the domain name for me and they registered me and all of that. I bought a server, I hosted my website, but when the traffic started coming in, the numbers were getting crazy. Like, we're doing millions of people monthly. Like, the server resources meant for 1 month, we are exhausted in less than 7 days, and we have to pay again. So there was one particular month I paid hosting fee 7 times in a month, in that particular month, 7 times, and the server kept finishing, and at that point the money was not matching up, so I had to go and look for money elsewhere, pay for the server to come up again. But later on we had to get like 4 different servers. We were paying madly for it, and we were able to pay for the servers. I think our major challenge is server cost is what was eating up a lot of funds right then. So server downtime and all of that was our major issue, as in downtime, and then copyright, and those are normal in any business, except you are not actually ready to make money. Nobody to invest in when we are willing to make some moves, like want to do some really big thing, but we needed funds and nobody is willing to drop a dime. That was all what almost crashed the brand at the early stage. But it got to a point as we kept dishing out good content and the traffic was increasing, people kept paying and all of that, and today we give God the glory.
Have you had any failed business before, or have you started a business that failed, or Naijaloaded is your first business?
I have never done anything before. My 3rd week in school, I was in my room. The idea of Naijaloaded came. I started it with little resources I had. After 3 months, when I saw the traffic was getting good, I reached out to my grandma. She gave me money. I got a .com domain name, and then I got a server, and that was how the greatness started. And ever since then, everything I have done has always been around Naijaloaded. Transforming from a normal news website to a music and entertainment, doing a lot of podcasts, organizing shows and all of that. So everything I have done all my life has always evolved through Naijaloaded. While some of the ideas failed and then new one will come in, it has always been around Naijaloaded. So Naijaloaded is like the umbrella for everything I have done so far in my life.
So what were the products that failed?
When the internet was still very new and people cannot even afford to subscribe. So we started with all these phone tricks, all these applications, software that you can use to enjoy free internet and all of that. So that was how we started. And then after, we revolutionized into an information platform. And then we added the music section, and it worked. And then adding the music was what changed the entire story. And Naijaloaded was known for music at some point, but because we understand that there are going to be some other platforms that will come later and that they are going to be focusing on music alone, and that we are not going to be able to compete with them, we did not leave all the other niche that we are into. We are just trying to augment everything together. Later on, we started NLTV. We were bringing in big artists for interviews. Then we started NL Podcast. Then we started NL Exchange, where people who have crypto want to convert it to Naira. We do that, and then a whole lot of other stuff. But everything has always been under the Naijaloaded umbrella.
So what are the lessons that you've learned, building Naijaloaded?
Consistency is key. So even when no one is clapping, people are actually watching. Like, one thing that I've got to know is people will not come and tell you are doing a wonderful work until you quit doing that stuff. That is when you are going to know that a lot of people are actually watching your content. I tell people collaboration is if you are consistent and not collaborating, you might not grow. But if you are very, very consistent and you are collaborating with people of like minds, you will definitely grow. So my greatest lesson is being consistent and being open for collaboration. Anybody that that prioritize any of those two or those two together is definitely going to succeed in any business he or she is into.
Now, in the era of social media, AI and all that, how is Naijaloaded faring?
So for me, AI is like the perfect tool for content creators, bloggers, and the likes. Like, you don't have to overthink an idea. You don't have to overthink it such that you end up not creating that content or you end up not writing that article. The little rough ideas you have in your head, type it out, put it in AI. You might even get the fully big idea, and then you get started almost immediately. So for me, most of my content ideas do not just end up in my notepad. Now they end up on the website, because I can decide to have 50 articles idea, and in less than 1 hour I have all of them written out. It is just to publish them that will now be the stress. I see AI is going to even enhance my work even more.